Started. Awesome, everyone. This is Dawn Weatherwax. I'm the proud owner of Sports Nutrition to Go and Dawn Weatherwax's Sports Nutrition Academy. And we're talking about fueling the dream, an interview with Hunter Sipel on sports nutrition and testing. All right, so welcome, Hunter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for this, agreeing to do this with me today. A second
Absolutely.
one, by the way.
Yep.
All right. So just let the viewers know out there an overview of last year, because last year we started working together. So what was the main reason you decided to come into or make a phone call to Sports Nutrition and Go? Because this was a distance thing, not something local.
So I wanted to play college baseball, and I was not gaining the weight that I needed to kind of get to that level. And I tried everything eating wise, and I just kind of needed someone who was an actual professional in the field and not myself or my parents kind of figuring it out. So I wanted to make that change and kind of get a plan in place to gain healthy weight and gain muscle and gain strength to play college baseball.
And, after we did that 60-minute, oh my goodness, I've done that again. Sorry. Here we go. I have a new one, so bear with me. Nothing is going to be perfect. I just got to keep my cursor on the right one. All right. So tell me about when you got done with that 60-minute consult, because we reviewed a lot in detail about your nutrition and what was your, and the body composition testing, what was your initial thoughts when you got done with that 60-minute assessment, if you could remember that?
Yeah, so I was a little bit overwhelmed that exactly how much I needed to eat, because I thought I was already eating a lot, and that number looked very small compared to what I actually needed to eat. So definitely overwhelmed, definitely nervous to just see if I could actually do it. But yeah, that was go ahead.
And what calories were you or fuel were you consuming? And what do you remember what I told you you needed to be fueling to gain lean weight?
I believe I was eating a little under 3,000 to 3,000 before I was kind of tracking it. And I believe after the first meeting it was, if not 4,000, it was pretty close. I think it was actually over.
Yeah.
So, yep.
More than you thought, right?
Yeah.
Because the main issue was you were struggling to gain, and you were trying and it wasn't working. And therefore,
correct.
You're going, well, why don't you give it a shot? What made you nervous? What was that part about?
It was just kind of finding time in the day to eat. I felt like I was already extremely busy with school, baseball, and everything. And I just was nervous that I wasn't going to have enough time to get all the calories in.
And with not getting all the calories in, were you concerned about hunger, fullness?
Yeah, I definitely thought I was going to be full all the time, and it was going to be uncomfortable. But if you spread it out, it wasn't horrible compared to what I thought it was going to be.
And, again, then tell us about what actually happened, because you are in your first year in college, and we will go over that. But what ended up happening? What did you have to accomplish those first 30 days? And what was the goal within the next, 4 to 6 months?
So the goal of the first 30 days was to just kind of get on that schedule and kind of get it into memory of when I need to eat, and just being consistent with it every day and not kind of falling behind. And then over a longer period of time, I was just trying to gain that pound a week to just stay consistent and get up to what I needed to play.
And what happened? What was your outcome at the end of all of it?
So at the end of all of it, I was up 20 pounds. And it was huge for my development. Strength wise, baseball, everything. I saw an increase in basically every single measure you can think of.
So he knew it was lean weight because we did the body composition. He did body composition in that area. There's also a way you could do it by tape measurement. It's not as accurate. What happened with your miles per hour, exit velo? Do you remember some of those changes, especially since exit velo is becoming such a hot number? But what's happened since you're a pitcher? What's happened with some of those testing parameters back then?
Yeah. So I saw a jump of, I was around 85 to 86, and I saw a jump of 2 to 3 miles an hour just in those 5 months, which is huge compared to the time span of actually what happened.
What about exit velo? Do you know, was that measured?
I know there was an increase. I forget exactly what the numbers were, but there definitely was an increase. I believe it was around the same miles per hour increase as my throwing velocity.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also saw a huge increase in my speed, which I thought wasn't going to happen because I gained more weight, but I felt way faster. I felt more explosive in everything.
And just for people to know, what he just mentioned is that's always a concern, is if I gain weight, if people just talk about gaining weight, you need to distinguish that you want to gain lean weight.
Yep.
And you gained lean weight. Therefore, I believe you even got leaner, meaning you gained lean weight, but you lost some body fat.
Yep.
And when you do that and you're training the muscle as you're putting it on, it is scientifically proven. I don't have to even play baseball. This is what's crazy, if people understand this, is I could put on more lean weight, and I've never picked up a bat before in my life, and I will have a faster exit velocity. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
If you put on lean weight and you get leaner where the body fat is less, or if you already have a low body fat that you're mainly putting on muscle, then I've never had anybody get slower. And that's the issue when people say just gain weight. So if I have coaches out there, athletes out there, please don't say just eat or just gain weight.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The problem is if you just eat, you could put on a lot more fat, and that will slow you down. And I always say this, if I was going 20 miles per hour at something, and then I was going 50 miles per hour at something, I'm going to hit that a lot harder. Also quickness and speed. So if there's less fat to move you while you're swinging, you should be quicker and faster. So that type of quicker and faster velocity, even through that, you should be able to pitch harder with more weight. Now, the thing with that is, how would you describe a day in what you used to eat, the old you, and what you eat now?
So I would say the biggest difference, and that was a while ago, so it's kind of tough to remember.
And you can even do college day, what you used to do today in college.
Yeah. So what I used to do was kind of just 3 bigger sized meals a day, and that would kind of be it. I wouldn't really eat anything in between, maybe small snacks, but and now I'd say it feels like I'm eating the same amount, but I'm eating 5 to 6 times a day, and it's more calories, more protein, more everything, just more spread out, and timing is more like maximum 2.5 hours in between when I'm eating rather than 3 to 4 hours.
And tell the viewers out there how that helped you, that change in general. How did that help you with the nutrition component?
Yeah, so it made me feel not bloated, not like I was full all the time. Spacing my eating out just felt like normal. Though I was never felt overwhelmed or anything by how much I was eating. It felt normal.
And again, he mentioned a male can put on 1/2 to 1 pound of lean weight a week. That's where he came up with the 1 pound. If you do nutrition training and recovery, which is mainly sleep at this point, the other things, but that's the key one, that you could put on. Baseball is one of those rare sports where you can lift through the season most of the time, especially as a pitcher. Catchers, they're the only exception out there because they're already doing a lot of squats. And so then it just becomes a math equation. Now, how do you balance your nutritional needs as an athlete with your personal food preferences and lifestyle when you were in high school, and now you're in college? So how do you deal with that now?
So in high school, I was able to kind of pick and choose what I eat. Being able to live at home really helped. I had such a big selection of what to eat. So I never felt like I was just like, oh, I don't have what I want. In college, with the way cafeterias are set up at every school across the country, it's limited. There's only so many different things that you can eat to a day-to-day basis. And I honestly, the biggest thing is just finding something different every day, whether you have to eat that thing once every other day or once every 3 days. Just something different really helps you get through it, because it's tough to eat the same thing every single day or things similar. And I mentioned before that gift cards honestly are a lifesaver in college. That's something that you want to get to just get away from the dorms, go get something to eat with your friends, something different.
And that was the first time I've ever heard that when we were talking earlier, and now as you're putting it out to the viewers, that is a fabulous idea. So I'm going to be telling it all the time. What he learned from another friend of yours was the whole senior year for Christmas and graduation gifts were gift cards. Gift cards to what? What would that look like? And if, again, what would you love for next year if you could redo it? Gift cards to what?
So my personal preferences were Chipotle, tropical smoothie, big Texas Roadhouse fan, Outback. I'd say those are probably my top 4.
And would you recommend or not? Because my brain goes to Amazon gift cards. So you could order things to be delivered to your house or your dorm. But would you include that if you had the option or not?
I would include that. Yeah, it's just based on preference. I like going out to eat. I don't really like paying for it because I'm a college student. But it's completely up to whatever personal preference.
And what are some of your favorite snacks? If you could order them off Amazon and drop it at your dorm, what would you order?
Beef jerky and trail mix. That's what I'm living on right now. That's my top 2.
I love it. You're awesome. All right. Talk about a time when you noticed the sports nutrition and testing were playing a critical role in your performance or recovery back then and now, because you got 2 totally different things. Back when last year, when it was brand new, and any new experiences that you've seen.
So my senior year, when we kind of started, just in the first, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks, I noticed just my recovery was speeding up. I was drinking a lot more water. I was getting better calories, and my recovery from when I pitched was sped down to 1 day of rest rather than it was more 2 to 3 days until I felt normal. And I kind of took that into college with that same mindset, and the same thing. I'm doing a recovery lift after I throw, and the more I take care of my body, whether that's hydrating or eating, I'm feeling better faster, and I'm gaining strength back as I use all the muscles to throw.
And can you go a little bit more in depth what that meant about recovery? It took 2 or 3 days. What felt different? Like were you more sore? What was going on? And then how was it translating to your performance?
Yeah, so before, it would take 2 to 3 days for me to feel normal, whether that's just my whole body hurting, just my arm kind of sore, or just like before I'd feel like I got hit by a train basically for 3 days. after
Mhm.
I'd have a start.
That's not
And
good.
yeah, it's not good. I don't recommend it. But as I kind of worked through this nutrition, um, everything got sped up. So I got to feel better faster.
Mm.
So yes, I would still kind of feel kind of like under the weather a little bit the next day. It was usually gone by the second day, which was I loved it because no one likes feeling sore constantly. Um, but yeah, so that's what I meant by that.
Great. Anything new this year with college on your
Um,
performance or
in
recovery?
Yeah, so in the fall, I kind of had some longer recovery times. It was the longest I've played baseball in a full year. It was
Mm.
what, March to October. It was the
Wow.
longest full year I've played. And
Mhm.
by that first week of October, I was hurting, and I could tell that my body was kind of done for the year.
Mhm.
Um, but I know for a fact that if I would have just kind of kicked my nutrition to the side and kind of, let's just get through these past 2 weeks, I would have felt horrible for a month. But I think I was back to normal 4 days after throwing, which was it sounds long, but the way my body felt, it was a blessing.
Can you imagine what those major leaguers feel with the expectation of how hard they have to play every time, day in and day out, at night,
Yeah,
traveling, not in your own bed half the time, different time zones? It
yeah,
gives you appreciation for what the body goes through, for sure.
absolutely.
All right. What are some common misconceptions about sports nutrition and testing that you have encountered as an athlete during this process?
So kind of the biggest thing is that like kind of what we talked about earlier was just like kind of stuffing your face full of any type of food. I think that was the biggest misconception that I kind of like pointed out was like it's it's kind of more you need to eat certain things at certain times rather than just eat a bunch of stuff all the time. And that would be that's that's the thing that I think of, and I know of many other people that have kind of been through the same thing that they're just like, oh well, people just say just keep eating, just keep eating, 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 eating all the time, and it's not really like that.
And talk about that because, what have you noticed about how you eat versus some of your baseball colleagues?
Oh, I definitely eat more, but I don't. It's not as much effort for me to eat as some other people that I know. Um, I feel like I spread myself out a little bit more, um, which in return I'm eating more throughout the day than most people. Um, but yeah, definitely I'd like to say that I have a pretty good like control of my sweet tooth now, so I'm not
Mhm.
really getting into too many so-called bad foods.
And do you see more of your baseball colleagues paying attention to sports nutrition and testing, or do you still feel you're an anomaly?
Um, I definitely feel like everybody's pretty controlled of their nutrition at this level. I think everybody kind of gets their goal in each season and understands that like, look, I need to take care of my body. So you don't see too many people, at least at this level, that are just kind of pushing nutrition off to the side.
I'm very impressed. I thought you were going to say something different. So I'm excited about that because at that school, they're doing something right.
Yep.
Okay. What advice would you give to young athletes who are just starting to consider the role of sports nutrition and testing in their training and performance?
Yeah. So I would say it's definitely um don't get overwhelmed. It might seem that it's like this huge different thing, but it's really simple, and you just have to really just stay committed to it. It's a long-term thing. I think it took me 3 or 4 weeks to start seeing like noticeable progress. But then after that, it jump started for the next 4 months.
And what would you give advice to parents in this situation?
Definitely be supportive. I know that was my parents' biggest thing, is that like they weren't pushing me to do anything, but if it was something that I wanted to do, they would help me get to whatever point I wanted to be. And that was kind of where I was at, was I wanted to put on weight, and they kind of just pushed me in the general direction of how to do that. And that's where I got to talk with you, and that's where I started there.
And what advice would you give athletes going into their first year of being a college athlete with their sports nutrition and testing?
Definitely don't be picky. When it comes to food, kind of be open to everything, whether it sounds gross or you just don't feel like eating. Just, you have to kind of get through that first year, depending on your school, whether you can get off campus your second or third year. The first year is the toughest. I'm just about through it, and I talk with all the upperclassmen on the team. They say that the first year is by far the toughest to eat, hydrate, everything, because just your resources are limited.
And do you feel with that limitation, you were still able to, which is going to lead me to the next question, what ended up happening so far this year? What were your goals this year with your lean weight and your performance? And just recap how tall you are, if you want to share that, where your weight was, then then your first year you gained 20, where you were then, and then what were your goals going into this season, and what's happened so far with playing in college so far for your first year.
So I'm 5'11", roughly. I say I'm 5'11". I'm really 5'10 and a half. But I started right around 160, 162 pounds, and I graduated high school. I was 180 flat. And then throughout the summer, I put on some more weight. And the first day on campus, I was 187, I believe. So I put on even more weight from the last time I talked with you, Dawn.
Love ya. Look at you go.
Yes. And then in the fall, I kind of struggled a little bit with eating, just kind of adjusting to schedule, classes, practice, everything. And I got down to, I think, 180, but now I'm back up to 183, and it's still increasing throughout the season. So I'm feeling really good.
And, the one thing with his school, because I asked prior, is if you have access to do body composition testing, you do it, because that guides on what you're doing. It guides the goal. It guides where you need to go. When you heard Hunter talk at the beginning, he goes, by just gaining that lean weight within that short amount of time, your miles per hour increased 2 to 3 miles per hour, gain more in the summer. We're using gain loosely because we do mean gain lean weight. And if you can get lower body fat, it really is the name of the game. And you're 5'11", you're weighing around 187. What percent body fat do you think you might be at this point?
I'd say 7-8% probably on the high end. I know when I did my body composition, I was 6, and it almost felt unhealthy.
You can get too low.
Yeah, it almost felt unhealthy, but I know when I almost got up to 190 in the fall before I lost a little bit of weight, and I felt that a lot of it was body fat, and I kind of felt like sluggish almost. But when I was like 185, that was the magic number. I felt really explosive. I didn't feel sluggish. That was kind of my happy medium.
With where you are now, do you feel if you stayed at this weight, you're good? Do you feel okay that you found your hot spot?
Yep.
Got it. Yeah, the average male baseball player for people out there is around 2.3 to 2.6 pounds of lean weight per inch. And that's what can kind of guide on how much lean weight you should have. And he's unique because a lot of baseball players are not a true 6 to 8% body fat. And he actually got it done the right way. He didn't do just tape measurements, because tape measurements could be off. What's happened with your miles per hour this year?
So I saw a little bit of decrease in the fall just with throwing so much. It was just different for me. Just a huge adjustment from high school, to be completely honest. And then throughout the Christmas break, had a month and a half off. I kind of rebooted, kind of just took care of my body a lot better. And then I saw huge improvements from what I was in the fall into the spring.
It also sounds like you got leaner, right?
Yeah.
You're feeling sluggish, just trying to figure out the food policy systems.
Yep.
And then figuring it out and then going from there. Can you also express, you mentioned it before, how you feel the importance of hydration has played a role in all of this for you?
Yeah, so even before working with you, Dawn, my dad has always been a huge influence on hydrating. I played a lot of summer ball stuff down in Georgia, Florida, and Alabama, and I'm from the Northeast, so that's a completely different ball game. So he's always pushed me to drink a lot of water throughout the day, and even if I'm not thirsty, just sip on water just to stay hydrated, because you don't play as good as you can when you're dehydrated. I've been dehydrated. It is by far the worst experience I've ever been through.
And what did you notice besides, let's just say it wasn't a really hot day? Would you notice any changes even when it wasn't as hot if you weren't properly hydrated? And if you did, what did you see?
Yeah, so I still see a decrease in my performance when I'm not hydrated enough, no matter the temperature, humidity. I just, when it is so hot and humid, that's when it's kind of heightened and you notice it more. But really, at all temperatures and humidity, you need to be drinking water.
And what is your elixir? How much fluid do you try to aim for a day?
So I'm shooting right around, I think my Yeti's it's like 64 ounces, I think. So I usually drink a 64 ounce thing of water a day. And sometimes, depending on the day, I throw in one packet of liquid IV. That's meant for one water bottle, but I think it's a little too sweet just for one tiny water bottle.
And do you think you're also getting enough salt with just the dining hall food and everything?
Yep.
Yeah. And for people again out there, you're usually minimally trying to aim for at least half of your weight in fluid ounces a day, plus 20 ounces per activity. If you weigh over 100 pounds, I say 10 ounces per activity. If you weigh under 100 pounds, what is an activity? A baseball practice, that's an activity. A lift, that's an activity. Hitting, having a specific hitting practice, that's an activity. Some need way more than that, but I felt like I had to come up with a method for people to remember easily how much they needed, but it also depends on how much you sweat. And then also, sodium is the number one electrolyte that you need when it comes to proper hydration. It brings the water into the muscle cell. I always warn, because Hunter ate pretty good to begin with, but when you eat cleaner, you tend to eat less processed foods and eat out less. Therefore, usually your sodium content goes down. That way you have to aim for a minimum of 3,000 milligrams of sodium a day. Some need 4,000 or higher, but this is an educational platform. 3,000 is the minimum. I really don't care what age you are. And then some might need way more than that, because the variance of how much someone sweats and then the variance of how much somebody loses sodium in sweat, it could be 200 milligrams per pound of sweat up to 2,000. if you see a baseball player with like white rings on their cap, when that sweat has dried, that's usually salt. And those are the people who might need way more than that. And Liquid IV has that in, good amount of sodium in there. All right. I'm gonna do my sports nutrition quiz. Are you ready? You're gonna tell us your favorites in 60 seconds or less. Are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
All right. Oh no, it started. Oh, here we go. I got to get our timer right here. It wasn't supposed to start. Okay, so I'm going to ask him what his favorites are in each food group and some other things. And off we go. Favorite fruit?
Strawberries.
Favorite non-starchy veggie?
I was gonna say potatoes, but they're starch.
Thank you. Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, those are my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, what vegetable would you eat that maybe is not your favorite, but you eat it, non-starchy?
Asparagus.
Okay. What's your favorite grain, starch, or complex carb? All in one.
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank.
That
I
could
just
be
ate
potato.
too. Yeah. Potato.
Pasta, rice. Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? Now that I refresh your memory. What's your favorite?
Brown rice.
Oh my gosh, my clock stopped. You're getting a free pass. It's starting over.
Sweet.
I don't know what I did. All right. Favorite protein?
Milk.
Favorite healthy fat?
Milk.
Well, what, 2% milk or something?
Whole milk. I like whole milk if I can find it.
Okay, so this is a learning opportunity. So that's a saturated fat. So we're gonna say that's not healthy, but what's like
Okay.
nut seed, what's a healthy fat for you? Avocado, olives oil.
Yeah, guacamole.
Trail mix guacamole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I'm doing this as a learning thing too.
Yep.
All right. Now this one is your favorite pre-practice snack.
Trail mix.
And or pre or practice meal.
Chipotle.
What is something your favorite food or fluid during a baseball game?
Liquid IV and water.
Got it. And then what's your favorite post-recovery snack?
Chocolate milk and a protein bar.
Love it. What about a meal?
Steak if it's around. Lean steak, rice, maybe, probably a potato. That's usually what comes with steak.
Yep.
And then a vegetable.
Good job. All right. Favorite junk food snack?
Oreos.
Favorite junk food meal?
Probably cheesecake. Yeah.
That would qualify as a meal because at the Cheesecake Factory, they're 1,000 to 1,500 calories per slice, right?
Yeah.
So
The Oreo cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory, I think is like 1,300 calories. It's ridiculous.
There you go. So that's our meal. I love it. And you won because I don't know what's going on with my clock, but you got stuck at 56 seconds. So you're a winner. Tried to start it 3 times and I don't know what happened, but we got your favorites. All right. Thanks for playing that. All right. Any final words you would like to tell the listeners out there?
Definitely. So if you're still in high school, definitely take advantage and get on a strict schedule while you're at home, while you're living with your parents, because that kind of sets the foundation for when you go to school, because you're not going to have the same luxuries as you do living at home. You're kind of just going to be stuck and eating the same thing sometimes. So definitely getting on a regimen as fast as you can and staying strict to it throughout high school, as long as you're in high school. And then that will translate positively into college.
Love it. And then what would you say about if you didn't do it? Where do you think you would be today if you didn't implement it?
Honestly, I have no idea what I wouldn't be. I don't think I'd be at this level of baseball.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate. Oh, here we go. See, as we keep learning how to do this. Everybody's gotta love me when we're done with this thing. What's it gonna stay? Okay, that was for afterwards. Okay, well, it's been a pleasure having you today and coming back and just gracing me with your time again, because we did this last year after you put on the 20 pounds of lean. And I really welcome that you shared your opportunity with us for your first year in college and giving people some insight about how that would work. And again, thank you for your time. You guys, this is Dawn Weatherwax, the proud owner of Sports Nutrition to Go and Dawn Weatherwax's Sports Nutrition Academy. Let's up your game and taste the transformation by building better athletes through sports nutrition that best fits the athlete. All right, folks, have a great and healthy day.